Hey, good morning, Greg. Look what happened. We wake up this morning and look who's in first place.
Oh, I was going to ask, after that Bills loss yesterday, is a certain local football team the favorite to win the AFC East?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Their defense has been playing great. Mac Jones played just an incredible game down in Atlanta last week, except for one interception, but that's okay. But I think the way that their defense is playing, it may be one of the best defenses Bill Belichick has ever had. The depth, the playmaking, the pass rush, the addition of certain free agents. It's hard to say right now, after 11 games, that they haven't found their stride. Now, the important thing is we have 6 more games to go, and they have Buffalo twice on their schedule. So it's not an easy finishing stretch for the New England Patriots, but certainly with this defense, they can beat anybody.
Did you mention Mac Jones?
A few times.
Wiggy, do you want to go ahead? Do you want me to ask it? Do you want to say it?
Well,
I mean, I know you think Boomer's my guy.
Yeah.
I listen to everything Boomer says.
Boomer is your
He's my guru.
He is your guru. He is your clefro dollar, and you are in his congregation.
Okay.
Now, Boomer, let me ask this question because we've kind of talked about this, ad nauseum for it seems like forever. When you look at this football team, I've said that this team is built on their defense, their running game, and then Mac Jones in that passing game, a third when it comes to trying to win football games.
You're being fraudulent.
No, I'm not.
Use the word. Use the word.
All right. I said Mac Jones was a passenger, and at times he drives.
Yes. Excuse me.
Yes.
Oh my God, Wiggy. I woke. I thought you were going to be in a much better mood this morning.
I'm in a great mood.
He's a passenger.
Boomer,
Boomer.
I'm in a great mood. And when I say passenger, people get real sensitive in Boston.
He's like Boomer. Come Thursday, if you're driving your grandmother to Thanksgiving, that's Mac Jones. According to Wiggy.
Well, it also could be
in the backseat.
It also could be Jermaine Wiggins on the Greg Hill Show.
Yes.
I don't mind being a passenger.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Come on, guys. I mean, this is like unbelievable. I told you early on in the season that I thought that they were a playoff team. I didn't think they were going to be able to win the AFC East, and maybe they won't. I'm not sure yet. But I definitely felt like they were a playoff team, just simply because of the amount of money they spent in free agency and the amount of guys that were coming back off their COVID list that didn't play last year. So he had like a total infusion of energy and better players. I never expected Mac Jones to be this good. I thought he would be good, and I thought he would probably have the best of all the rookie quarterback seasons just simply because of the players around him, the coaching staff around him. And I can't say enough with, number one, of how good Josh McDaniels has done here. But then you got to give credit back to the player because the player ultimately has to pull the trigger on the field. And Mac Jones has done that. And I mean, he's now a reason why they're winning. I mean, and winning convincingly. Yeah, their defense is great, and they maybe have one of the better defenses in football. As I watched Kansas City yesterday, their defense all of a sudden the last 3 weeks has become something special. So there's something about rounding into shape, and this team has got it going on. It's got it going on in all 3 phases. And if you want to call Mac Jones a passenger, I would say he's riding shotgun with Josh McDaniels, and he's doing a hell of a job.
Boomer, you look at Ryan Tannehill coming off 4-interception game. Is this a perfect matchup for the Patriots defense since they are kind of hitting their stride right now?
Yeah, 100%. I think, when you look at teams and you look at schedules, you could have said like 3 weeks ago, oh, wow, the Patriots are going to finish against some really tough teams. Buffalo and Tennessee are going to be on that list. And quite frankly, it only matters what the team is like when you get there. And certainly without Derrick Henry, they are a completely different team. Ryan Tannehill really had a bad day yesterday. It was in the slop. It was in the rain, and it looked like he didn't handle it very well. But what we found out what we are finding out during this NFL season is, man, from 1 week to the next, really none of this seems to be really matter except for the teams that are starting to surge right now in the middle of the season. And it's good that the Patriots just happen to be one of them. So I'm sure Tennessee is going to be up for it. There's no question about it. There's nothing worse than playing a team that's coming off of a really bad loss at home, embarrassing. They're going to have a long week, I'm sure. And the Patriots will, they're going to find their hands full. There's no question about that.
You think the Bills recover? I mean, they've had a couple bad losses this season.
Yeah, it's shocking how bad they've played. And really what's shocking is just how bad Josh Allen has played 3 out of the last 4 weeks. He had a great game against the Jets, and that was expected. But yesterday, man, I'll tell you, Indianapolis took it to them. Indianapolis is another one of these teams that is coming on. They've run the ball, right into playoff contention, and they've won their last 3 in a row. And Carson Wentz is not making those killer mistakes. He only attempted 20 passes yesterday. no turnovers, and it's one of the reasons why they were able to beat the Bills. The Bills can't stop the run, which is good news for the New England Patriots because that's what the New England Patriots do. They run and they play action. And if you can't stop the run in the Northeast come November, December, and January, you're not going to be standing around very long.
Boomer, another team that the Patriots will see here in the next 4 games, the Colts. If Bill Belichick is able to win the AFC East and, finish the season where we look at and go, okay, this is, whether they're the first, second, third seed, but they were able to win the AFC East and he's able to continue to do what he's doing with this football team. Is he coach of the year?
Yeah, Coach Cowher said that yesterday. We had our little discussion as to who would be Coach of the Year prior to yesterday's games. And, I was thinking Tennessee's Mike Vrabel would be right up there given all the things that they've had to deal with and how many injuries that they had. And they were going into yesterday's game against the Houston Texans at 8-2. So they were the number 1 seed. Now, all of a sudden, things look a little bit differently this morning. If they go on and win it like you're asking me, Jermaine, I would tell you yes. I mean, this has been an unbelievable coaching job. The other thing I would tell you is just how good their coaching job was last year without all these free agents, without, all the guys that decided to opt out for COVID, and the fact that they won 7 games with Cam Newton at quarterback. So to me, they're already where they were last year in terms of wins, and they're only getting better. They're surging. Their team is dominant on defense. They run the ball effectively. And as long as their quarterback doesn't make the rookie mistakes and turn the ball over, they're going to be in every single one of these games. And I wouldn't be surprised if they now win the AFC East, which I didn't think they would do, and he be named Coach of the Year.
Boomer, you agree with Joe Judge when he said that any top 15 quarterback could have the career that Brady had with the Patriots?
No, I don't. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't know how he was saying it. I don't know in relation to what he was saying. I guess he was saying that it was all about the coaching and the players, which I do believe that's a big part of Brady's success in New England. There's no question about it. But I also know that Tom Brady went down and left and won a Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl MVP with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that stands alone all by itself. And he did it at the age of 43 years old. So I think his incredible attention to detail and preparation, which, by the way, Joe Judge has come on with us here at WFAN and has said nothing but nice things about Tom Brady, his preparation, the way he sets the tone, the way that he runs practice, the impact that he has on everybody in the organization. So maybe he might have said something along those lines that could have been construed as negative towards Tom Brady, but he's never done that here in New York.
When you look at bye weeks, since the Pats haven't had one yet, still have 2 weeks until they do players hate having a late bye week, or is this a perfect timing given how difficult the Pats end the season with?
I think 2 things, Courtney. They had a 10-day period now where they played last Thursday and they just absolutely killed the Falcons. So that's almost like a mini bye week. Mm-hmm. And then they get their bye week coming up. So the only thing I don't like about a bye week is if a team is surging and playing really well. I just always wonder about whether or not that's going to knock them off just a little bit. But in this case, I would imagine that every coach would tell you the later the bye week, the better, especially if you got some guys dinged up. And this is usually the time of the year where there are a lot of those types of guys. But, man, I can't say enough about the way that the Patriots have played. I mean, they are tied together from safety to punt returner and everybody in between. I mean, this is the way you're supposed to play complementary football. This is the way a team should look if they are a championship caliber team. The big question will be for them over the next 6 games is whether or not they are able to stay as healthy as they've been this year.
Boomer, you had said last year they did a great job coaching this year, last year and this year. As a guy who's played the position and played for a couple different organizations, how important is good coaching and a good organization around you to be successful at the quarterback position?
Wiggy, you're asking the right question to the right guy. I played in the Bermuda Triangle of the NFL. That was the Jets, Cardinals, and Bengals back in my day. And, I think I had 8 coaches in a 14-year career. And there's nothing worse than instability in the NFL. And every team is striving for it. Every team is striving for that key quarterback that can be your quarterback for 10 to 15 years and build around him. And, he can be the next Patrick Mahomes for whoever is lucky enough to draft a guy like that. But, man, and you have the stability that New England has. And, they had a blip on their radar last year, went 7-9. And we could talk about all the reasons, but I still think that was an incredible coaching job. So the stability, the other thing, too, and people don't realize this, I don't know how much of an impact Matt Patricia is having on this coaching staff, but he's back behind the scenes, and this defense has grown under Gerard Mayo, under Steve Belichick, and of course Bill Belichick and all the people that they added here in the offseason, I would just say that they are whole again, coaching staff wise, and it's certainly reflecting on the field.
Speaking of your career, you and Joe Flacco are not that far apart in age. Any chance you get the nod for the Jets on Sunday?
I will say that Joe Flacco and I have somewhat of a similar type career, coming back and playing, and starting in your 14th year for a team that was not very good. But I thought he played well yesterday. I thought he gave the Jets exactly what they needed, and that was somebody to settle things down and not throw interceptions and turn the ball over. And he had one fumble, of course, but they're just not a good team. They're just a really young team. There isn't a team in the league that has as many rookies playing for it as the Jets do, and it really does. You can see it each and every week. Every now and again, you see a wow player from one of these young kids, but then there are all the breakdowns that happen around them. And I think Robert Saleh said, let's just put the veteran quarterback in there and just see if we could settle something down and get the game to the fourth quarter where maybe we have a chance to win. And unfortunately, they didn't win yesterday, but I thought it was the right move to play the older quarterback.
But with Miami getting that win, third straight, do you think that Tua's actually good?
I think he's okay. I think he's more than serviceable. When you look at the amount of starting quarterbacks in this weekend, and I want to say there was like 16 or 17 that were either backups before the season started or maybe a starter that got benched and came back into to start for his team. I mean, it's a mess all across the league. And staying healthy is one of the most important things that a quarterback can do for their team. Eli Manning had 116 and 116 record. It's not all that impressive. But the fact of the matter is he made all of those 232 games. And, that's the thing that you want. Same thing with Tom Brady. You lost that 1 year after that first hit in that game against Kansas City many years ago. But, man, he's never missed a game since then because of injury. That's really what you want. Now, he's been suspended, of course, but you want guys that are going to show up each and every week and be healthy. And that's always the big question mark for all these kids.
Boomer, we'll talk to you next week, and maybe, just maybe, the Patriots will not only be the first place in the AFC East, but maybe leading the AFC. So
the amazing thing is that the team with the best record right now has 3 losses, and that's Tennessee. And New England's right on their heels, and who knows? We could have a number one. We could have a number 1 seed on our hands. Wouldn't that be something, Jermaine?
That would be perfect.
Not even you could bitch about that.
Hey, listen, I'm not bitching. I'm smiling. My team's in first place in the AFC. So.
Oh man, you're such a front runner. It's unbelievable.
Okay, I've been riding with this team when you were playing with the Bengals.
All right, I hear you.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Thank you guys. Happy
Boomer.
Thanksgiving, man. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.